Something is about to happen on center court that nobody in this sport saw coming, and the strangest part is that the warning signs were there all along if you knew where to look. Just 48 hours ago, a 21-year-old walked onto a side court at the All England club carrying the memory of a defeat that had haunted her for an entire year. By the time she walked off, she had transformed that painful memory into a weapon. Now she is preparing to face the one player on the entire tour who might actually be more dangerous wounded than she ever was at her peak. The question nobody can answer is simple. Is Alex ready for this? Or is she about to learn the hardest lesson tennis has to teach? To understand what is about to happen, you have to rewind and look at what nearly broke her. A year ago, on English grass not far from where she is playing now, Alex lost a final that stretched all the way to a deciding set tiebreak. It was the kind of loss that doesn't simply end with the final point. It settles deep inside you and refuses to leave. In her own quiet way, she later admitted that she couldn't even watch the replays for months. While some defeats slowly fade into the background, this one never did. It lingered, waiting for another chance. Then, just 2 days ago, on a different court against the very same opponent, she finally found her answer. That opponent was Maya, who entered the match riding the kind of momentum that can change a career overnight after accomplishing something in the previous round that almost nobody expected. She had beaten Serena Williams. Not a faded, ceremonial Serena, but a Serena the entire tennis world had been watching with bated breath, wondering if the fairy tale still had one more chapter left. Maya wrote a different ending. She closed the book and carried every ounce of that momentum, adrenaline, and newfound belief straight into her match with Alex. For one set, it looked as though history was about to repeat itself. Maya broke serve early, controlled the rallies, dictated the tempo, and claimed the opening set 6-3. If you were watching live, you could almost feel the narrative unfolding in real time. Too much pressure, too big a stage, here we go again. But during the changeover, something shifted that the cameras couldn't quite capture. It wasn't visible. It was internal, something that had been building for exactly 1 year. Alex didn't panic. Instead, she simplified her game, tightened her focus, stopped reacting to Maya's rhythm, and began imposing her own geometry on the court, taking the ball earlier and moving forward at moments nobody expected. The second set slipped away from Maya, 6-2. Then came the third set, and that's where this stopped feeling like a tennis match and started feeling like a statement. 6 games, none for Maya. A bagel delivered on the Wimbledon stage against the player who, just 72 hours earlier, had ended the comeback of a legend. The final score read 3-6, 6-2, 6-0. This wasn't simply a victory, it was Alex reaching back exactly 12 months, finding the version of herself who couldn't bear to watch her own highlights, and finally allowing her to let go. And perhaps the smallest detail revealed the most about who this young woman truly is. Long before she stepped onto the grass, stitched into the brim of her white visor, was a simple phrase that had quietly traveled with her all along. The phrase was in Tagalog, "Once it grows, it cannot be stopped." It wasn't stitched there for a sponsor's camera shot or a social media moment. Alex has spoken openly about carrying her culture and her country with her every time she steps onto the court. That kind of conviction can't be taught. You either have it or you don't. And now, everything she has built over the past few weeks, the title in Birmingham, back-to-back top 10 victories in Berlin over Elena Rybakina and Alina Svitolina, consecutive Wimbledon wins, including a stunning comeback that ended with a bagel, has brought her to the biggest challenge of all. Standing on the other side of the net is the defending champion, the woman who lifted this very trophy just 12 months ago and whose name still carries more weight than almost anyone else in the sport. At first glance, it feels like the point where every underdog story is supposed to end, because momentum alone is rarely enough to overcome a champion of that caliber. Under normal circumstances, that would probably be true. But 2026 has been an unusually turbulent season for the defending champion, and the deeper you examine her year, the more complicated the picture becomes. The cracks first appeared in Miami, where she squandered a 1-set lead and lost her opening match to fellow Pole Magda Linette, a result that would have been almost unimaginable just a year earlier. Within days, she and longtime coach Wim Fissette had parted ways. A new coaching team led by Francisco Roig, formerly part of Rafael Nadal's coaching staff, was expected to stabilize her game heading into the clay season, but the turnaround never fully materialized. Disappointing losses continued to pile up, including a quarter-final defeat to Elena Rybakina at the Australian Open and another setback against Mira Andreeva that only deepened the sense that something was no longer quite the same. Then came Stuttgart, followed by Madrid, where everything seemed to reach a breaking point. In the third round, she retired from her match in tears while trailing an unseeded American after her body simply refused to cooperate. She later revealed that she had been battling a virus that caused dizziness, blurred vision, and left her with no sense of stability. It was only the third retirement of her entire career. Then came what once would have seemed impossible: Roland Garros, her fortress, the tournament she had won 4 times and the place where, for years, she competed on a level few players could even approach. Yet she was beaten in the 4th round in straight sets by an opponent who, on paper, had no business dismantling her so convincingly. Her grass court preparations offered little encouragement. She suffered an opening round defeat in 3 sets at Bad Homburg, marking her second consecutive loss to the same American opponent. By the time she arrived at Wimbledon, she was still searching for her first title of the season. Her opening match only added to the uncertainty. She dominated the first set, completely lost control of the second, and then had to fight just to survive in the third. For a player who has spent years being the sport's most composed and reliable competitor, that kind of visible inconsistency suggested the pressure was no longer just an outside narrative. It had become something real, something she carried with her every time she stepped onto the court. Her second-round victory looked comfortable on the scoreboard, but even that result owed as much to a favorable matchup as it did to any clear return to her dominant form. That brings us to the real question heading into this third-round showdown. It isn't whether the defending champion remains dangerous, because she always is. A player doesn't win 6 Grand Slam titles only to lose that ability because of one difficult season. The real question is whether the version of her standing on the court today is still capable of finding that level when the pressure is at its highest. The real question is which version of the champion will step onto the court. Will it be the player who has struggled under pressure throughout the season, or the one who has built an entire career on producing her best tennis precisely when everyone believes she's finished? That's where this story becomes truly compelling, because this isn't their first meeting. 15 months ago, in the Miami quarterfinals, when Alex was still largely unproven at the highest level, she defeated the woman who would go on to win Wimbledon the following year, 6-2, 7-5. It wasn't a fluke. Alex earned that victory by standing inside the baseline, attacking second serves before they could settle, and refusing to let her opponent control the length and rhythm of the rallies. A month later, on the clay courts of Madrid, the champion responded in dramatic fashion, recovering from a set down to win 3-6, 6-4, 6-2. One victory each, hard courts favoring the underdog, clay favoring the champion. Now, for the first time, they meet on grass, a surface where neither has ever tested the other. That makes the tactical battle especially intriguing because grass doesn't reward both playing styles equally. The champion's biggest weapon has always been her heavy topspin forehand, a shot that explodes off the clay, jumping high and robbing opponents of valuable preparation time before the ball even reaches them. On grass, however, that same forehand behaves very differently. The bounce stays low, the topspin loses much of its bite, and the shot no longer creates the same overwhelming advantage it does on slower surfaces on grass. She has to adjust. She has to flatten her ground strokes, rely more heavily on her serve for stability, and play a style she rarely needs on any other surface. Interestingly, throughout their head-to-head history, Alex has actually been slightly more effective at returning the champion's second serve than the champion has been at returning hers. It's only a small statistical edge, but on grass, where points are decided by the finest of margins, those small advantages can become decisive. Alex's game is almost perfectly suited to this surface. Instead of hitting with heavy topspin, she drives the ball flat through the court, taking it early and robbing her opponents of time. It's a style that demands exceptional timing, and judging by her performances throughout the grass season, that timing has never looked sharper. Her left-handed serve creates an awkward, skidding angle that jams right-handed opponents, while her willingness to attack the net has increased dramatically compared to any previous stage of her career. The serve and volley patterns she used against Maya weren't spontaneous decisions. They were part of a carefully constructed game plan designed to disrupt a player who thrives on long, controlled baseline rallies. Still, before anyone rushes to crown the underdog, it's worth slowing down. Doing so would be just as misguided as dismissing her chances altogether. Standing across the net is still a 6-time Grand Slam champion ranked among the world's top 4, a player who has repeatedly proven she can rise to the occasion when the stakes are highest. Ahead of this match, she openly described Alex's game as tricky because it denies her the rhythm she normally relies upon, and she acknowledged that preparing for Alex means dealing with a completely different kind of ball than she typically faces. The bookmakers continue to make the defending champion a clear favorite, and for good reason. She has survived some of the most intimidating moments imaginable throughout her career, and experience alone makes her an enormous threat whenever she steps onto a Grand Slam court. She has faced moments like this before and always managed to find her way through them. Alex, on the other hand, arrives with all the momentum in the world but without the experience of having ventured this deep into a Grand Slam before. This is already the first time in the Open era that a Filipina has reached the 3rd round of a Grand Slam singles event, placing the 21-year-old in completely uncharted psychological territory as she prepares to face a legend on one of tennis' biggest stages. She will also have something few Wimbledon opponents have ever encountered behind her, an extraordinary wave of support from the Filipino community across the United Kingdom. Alex's matches have become unlike anything the All England club has traditionally witnessed, with Philippine flags filling the stands and chants rising and falling with every rally. If she can secure an early break and fully ignite that crowd, the emotional and psychological pressure on the defending champion could become an entirely different challenge to manage. That's why there are 3 things worth watching as soon as the match begins, because they may reveal the outcome long before the scoreboard does. First, pay attention to where Alex positions herself on the return of serve. If she steps inside the baseline and attacks early, just as she did in Miami, it will signal that her confidence is exactly where it needs to be. If she retreats behind the baseline, the magnitude of the occasion may be starting to influence her decisions. Second, watch where the champion's forehand lands during the opening rallies. At her best, it pushes opponents deep behind the baseline and immediately puts them on the defensive. When her timing is even slightly off, that forehand lands shorter and becomes an opportunity for Alex to attack instead of a shot to fear. Finally, keep a close eye on the second serve whenever the pressure begins to build. On a stage like this, those seemingly small moments often decide matches long before the final point is played. If this match extends into a deciding 3rd set, pay even closer attention, because the defending champion's inconsistency in pressure moments has been the defining storyline of her season. Everything, their head-to-head record, the unique demands of the grass surface, recent form, the energy of the crowd, and the psychological weight both women carry into this contest, points towards something that rankings and seedings alone can never fully capture. This is a genuinely wide-open match, not because it makes for a compelling underdog story, but because the evidence is there for anyone willing to look closely. A year ago, Alex couldn't bring herself to watch the replay of a painful defeat to a dangerous and unpredictable opponent. Today, she walks onto the biggest court of her career carrying that same memory, not as a burden, but as fuel. Beneath the brim of her visor are 4 words in her own language that carry a simple but powerful promise. Once something begins to grow, nothing can stop it. Whether that promise can withstand the greatest pressure she has ever experienced is the one question no statistic, ranking, or prediction can answer. For that, you'll simply have to watch.